On January 21st, 2018, Jennifer Scharinger visits her mother. The 21-year-old has already moved out of her parents' house and lives in her own apartment in Vienna, Austria. But of course, she still comes back home from time to time to see her family. On this day, she is not alone. Her boyfriend is with her. It is a short visit, as Jennifer has plans to meet a friend in Vienna that evening. Less than 24 hours later, the young woman will be missing. It is one of the most disturbing missing person cases in Austria. For years, no one knows what happened to Jennifer Scharinger or where she is now. Jennifer lives in Vienna, the capital of Austria. She lives in her own apartment, her very own apartment. Her mother bought it for her when she was young. In an interview, her mother once said that at 16, Jennifer was more independent than most 30-year-olds. Although she dropped out of school at that age, she did so with a plan. She no longer wanted to sit in a classroom, but preferred to get stuck in and work. She soon found a job in a social security office to earn her first money. And that was by no means the end of the line for the young woman. In Vienna, Jennifer is catching up on her high school diploma and has decided to go to college after all. She has chosen to study law. At the same time, she's keeping her job at the insurance company. It's fair to say that she's going her own way, but she's doing so with purpose and common sense. Jennifer's apartment in Vienna is the meeting place for her large circle of friends. The young woman is very popular. For about 6 months, she has also had a boyfriend who now lives with her. On January 21st, 2018, Jennifer first visits one of her 2 older sisters, then her mother in her hometown. In the evening, she has plans with her friend Alexandra. It's supposed to be a nice, relaxed Friday evening in Vienna. Have a few cocktails, chat a bit, just have a good time. Jennifer and Alexandra have known each other since school and have been friends ever since. The evening goes just like countless other meetings between the friends before. Jennifer tells Alexandra about her upcoming exams and seems in good spirits as always. The 2 friends say goodbye to each other. Jennifer insists on walking her to the front door. Then something happens to Jennifer that everyone is familiar with. She misses the last subway home. So she texts her boyfriend and asks him if he can pick her up. That way, she won't have to walk through dark Vienna at night, and it should be clear that nothing will happen to Jennifer that night. Jennifer and her boyfriend arrive at her apartment building that night. In the underground parking garage, Jennifer takes a selfie of herself and her boyfriend at 1:16 a.m. and sends it to Alexandra. A minute later, she writes, "I'm safe." These 2 words are the last anyone will ever hear from Jennifer Scharinger. Alexandra sends her friend Jennifer 2 messages the following week. She doesn't get a reply, but it doesn't seem to be anything important. And I'm sure some of you know all too well that text messages sometimes remain unanswered a little longer than planned. In addition, Jennifer is on vacation for the next few days, but she has a lot of things planned that she hasn't gotten around to doing, so she's busy. Alexandra knew this in advance. But when a whole week has passed, she slowly starts to worry. Meanwhile, the police are at Jennifer's mother's door. They inform her that her employer has reported the young woman missing. Jennifer had a few days off, but she was supposed to return to work on January 27th. However, that did not happen. Jennifer was also absent without excuse the following day, January 28th. Her boss then reported her missing to the police. The investigators then made their way to Jennifer's next of kin, her mother. Her mother immediately called Jennifer's boyfriend, but he only said that she had run away on January 22nd. He himself was currently at a reservoir with his best friend and not in Vienna. The whole thing must have been a huge shock for Jennifer's mother. Only now is it becoming clear how long Jennifer has been missing. Jennifer had contacted Alexandra shortly after 1 p.m. on January 22nd. Later that day, according to her boyfriend, she disappeared from her apartment. Not much is known about the boyfriend. Only that he is the son of a former police officer and probably comes from Schrems in Lower Austria. In a television report, he's referred to as Mr. B. We will also use this name in this video. Mr. B recounts the events as follows. On the morning of January 22nd, he and Jennifer had an argument. The argument escalated to such an extent that Jenny demanded that her boyfriend pack his things and leave the apartment for good. She wanted to break up with him. After this argument, she left the apartment in a rage with nothing but her own apartment key. Her cell phone, wallet, passport, and even her contact lenses were left behind. He has not heard from Jennifer since. The alleged departure on January 22nd is consistent with the fact that the caretaker claims to have seen Jennifer in the stairwell on that day. The young woman is said to have looked pale and just wanted to get outside quickly. However, it is later classified as uncertain whether the caretaker really saw Jennifer on January 22nd or on another day. In addition to Jennifer's apartment key, another item is missing from the apartment: a wool blanket with a tiger pattern. Jennifer had just received the blanket as a Christmas gift. According to a report, a large box is also missing from the apartment. The significance of these two items remains unclear to this day. Jennifer's apartment was searched with sniffer dogs. However, they did not pick up any scent there. Friends and family consider it impossible that she would have gone anywhere voluntarily. Jennifer would definitely have contacted someone. They find Mr. B's story strange. And not only that, at second glance, Jennifer's last message to Alexandra also seems strange. "I am safe." Safe with a V instead of an F. Jennifer's mother finds this mistake conspicuous. It is totally unusual for her daughter. She can imagine that it may not have been Jennifer who wrote this message at all, but someone else. Even stranger is that Jenny was reported missing by her employer and not by her boyfriend. Her friend Alexandra says that Mr. B often called Jennifer after she had left the relationship. It got to the point where Mr. B even contacted Alexandra to ask about Jennifer when he couldn't reach her. Even though Alexandra usually found her friend to be quite nice and likable, she thought this was strange. And why would her friend stop doing this in the very week that Jennifer actually disappeared? Even if the two had had a heated argument. Another friend agrees with Alexandra that Mr. B was controlling. He prevented Jennifer from smoking or meeting friends on her own. Meetings with her circle of friends in her apartment are also said to have become significantly less frequent since the relationship began. In hindsight, this is obvious, but I also believe that you don't notice something like this at the time. Many of you will be familiar with this. When someone in your circle of friends is in a new relationship, the newly in love couple naturally want to spend every second together. Other social contacts can sometimes fall by the wayside. Her friends have nothing to blame themselves for, because as far as they could tell, Jennifer was doing well, including in her relationship. But apparently there were a few things that the 21-year-old didn't tell her friends or family. The police are, of course, examining Jennifer's cell phone, including chats and messages. And so it turns out that Jennifer and her boyfriend had actually been separated since October. So at the time of her disappearance, they had already been apart for 3 months. However, the relationship between the two apparently remained so friendly that no one noticed. Her boyfriend, Mr. B, was the last person to see her. So it's logical that the police are also examining his cell phone. And no one could have expected what they found. June 17, 2018, is Jennifer's 22nd birthday. It is also the day on which the police receive an important tip. A witness claims that Jennifer was kidnapped by a motorist. She even provides the license plate number of the alleged perpetrator. What initially sounds like a promising lead turns out to be an unbelievable case of bad taste. The license plate leads the police to the ex-husband of the alleged witness, and he has nothing to do with Jennifer's disappearance. Apparently, the witness wanted to take revenge on him and therefore linked him to a criminal case. Much more valuable are the digital traces found not only on Jennifer's smartphone, but also on her boyfriend's. There are several deleted video clips on Mr. B's cell phone, but the police are able to recover them. And it quickly becomes clear why the videos were deleted. They are intimate recordings of Jennifer, and it is obvious that these recordings were made without Jennifer's knowledge, with a hidden camera. This camera was installed in Jennifer's own bedroom and was connected to her boyfriend's cell phone via software. It was in a shoebox that stood on her wardrobe opposite her bed. There was a tiny hole in the shoebox, barely bigger than a fingernail, but big enough for the camera to film everything without Jennifer's knowledge. The boyfriend could see everything on his cell phone without Jennifer having the slightest idea. The last recording was made on January 22nd at 2:14 p.m. on the day of Jennifer's disappearance. After that, according to her boyfriend, he dropped the camera, broke it, and threw it away. Furthermore, Mr. B's search history contains search queries on the subject of knockout drops. He is said to have stated that he wanted to try knockout drops himself. Regardless of how plausible this claim is, such substances are not to be trifled with. You are surely aware of their basic effects, but in combination with alcohol or sedatives, these drops can even cause life-threatening complications. An overdose can lead to circulatory collapse, unconsciousness, deep coma-like sleep, respiratory arrest, and, in extreme cases, death. Very few victims even notice that they have come into contact with the substance, as it is odorless and tasteless. But you should never consume something like this voluntarily. All you get from it is a brief feeling of euphoria and relaxation. It is therefore unclear what effect Mr. B expected it to have. In any case, he has his own opinion about what happened to Jennifer. Mr. B says the following: Jennifer had been quite unhappy lately. She was fed up with her job, she dreamed of living abroad, and I know she had stashed away quite a bit of money in a piggy bank. That certainly weighed on her. It enabled her to disappear. So I believe she left voluntarily. He is pretty much alone in this opinion. In any case, he himself was quite active shortly after Jennifer's disappearance. This is shown by the GPS data from his cell phone, which the police also have access to. Mr. B was in Hollerbrunn, where Jenny originally comes from. Initially, he said that he had been at home the whole time. The radio data from his cell phone tells a different story. He may have known that he could be located. When he arrived in Hollerbrunn, the Google location tracking on his cell phone was deactivated for 47 minutes. It is therefore no longer possible to determine exactly where he was during this time. However, there are many large forest areas in the region. He explains that on the day after the argument with Jennifer, he simply drove around in his car to clear his head a little. The police searched the forest areas in the area with sniffer dogs and also dug in some places. Divers also searched the reservoir in the area. The sniffer dogs did alert in some places in the forest, but nothing was found. Jennifer's family still fears that the young woman is buried somewhere in this forest. Since then, her mother has been systematically searching the forest on her own from time to time. The investigators have probably told her that without a body, there would be little chance of a prosecution. So Jennifer's mother regularly drives to the forest area with her dog and a folding spade and searches for her daughter herself. She has also done everything else she can. She has checked train and flight connections that Jennifer could hypothetically have used to travel. She has called women's shelters and homeless shelters to check whether a young blonde woman has turned up there. She has handed out countless flyers and given interviews. And the search by her mother and other relatives has had at least some success. They found Jennifer's backpack in the forest. They recognized it immediately because of the many small stuffed animal keychains attached to it. Jenny collected them. And for her, it's further evidence that Jennifer is somewhere out there in the forest. Jennifer's mother herself says she doesn't believe her daughter is still alive. It's hard to imagine how much strength it must take her to actually say that. But even with this belief, the matter is by no means over for the mother. Of course, she still wants to find her daughter and find out what happened to her. That's why she hired a private investigator to investigate alongside the police. The State Criminal Police Office's investigation has since been suspended. The relatives were understandably very disappointed about this, not only because of Jennifer, but because of something that the missing woman's mother sums up quite well. There are so many cases of missing women who are not included in the femicide statistics. But I think it is socially relevant that these cases are also solved so that we know what happened to the missing girls. It's impossible to understand what it's like when these investigations are closed and nothing more happens. In 2023, a television station produced a report on the case and interviewed a spokeswoman for the public prosecutor's office. Mr. B had been listed as a suspect after initial suspicions, but the suspicions against him had not been substantiated. All leads had been investigated, and nothing had led to objective evidence against the suspect. And that is why the case was closed. According to the report, Mr. B was no longer considered a suspect. He was also asked for an interview for the report, but did not respond. In October 2025, there is more news. The police issue a new appeal for witnesses. On the orders of the public prosecutor's office, a photo of Jennifer is published. It is pointed out that information can also be provided anonymously. Anyone with information about the circumstances of the crime, a possible perpetrator, or Jennifer's whereabouts after January 21st is urged to come forward. According to a newspaper article, Jennifer's father has also offered a reward of 50,000 euros for relevant information. And then, in December 2025, came the decisive turn of events. In the case of Jennifer Scharinger, this is as sad as it is groundbreaking, because Jennifer is no longer alive. After more than 7 years, her now 32-year-old ex-boyfriend, Mr. B, was arrested. He voluntarily turned himself in at a police station on December 7th and made an initial confession. Mr. B had apparently been questioned again recently because his current partner had reported a case of domestic violence. Furthermore, a voice message from him had apparently surfaced. In it, he could be heard talking about how he would dispose of a body so that no one could find it. He is also said to have boasted about the perfect murder to those around him. Mr. B confessed to strangling Jennifer in her apartment for several minutes. According to media reports, blunt force was also used against her head. The alleged motive is that there was indeed an argument, resulting in Jennifer wanting to break up with Mr. B for good. Mr. B has admitted to burying Jennifer at a military training area. This is located about 90 kilometers northwest of Vienna. On December 8th, he agreed to show the police where he had buried her. And indeed, Jennifer Scharinger's remains were found there. I sincerely hope that the certainty in the confession will at least somewhat alleviate the pain of the last few years, even if it will certainly take a long time. Unfortunately, the resolution of this case once again makes one thing very clear. The most dangerous place for women is often their own home. Not because their own four walls are dangerous per se, of course, but because violence against women takes place for the most part in their private sphere. The last message from Jennifer was the words, "I'm safe." And regardless of whether it was she herself who wrote it or not, that is exactly what should and must have been the truth. Approximately 1 in 4 women experiences violence from a current or former partner during their lifetime. And the number of cases of violence against women reported to the police continues to rise. Unfortunately, femicides are not isolated incidents. Statistically, every 3rd day a woman is killed by a current or former partner. And that is only the sad tip of the iceberg. On the one hand, it was somehow a relief to see that this case could still be solved. On the other hand, the investigation itself is, of course, quite sobering. especially since the relatives had to wait 7 years for their suspicions to be confirmed. It's difficult to find the right words to conclude here, partly because everything is so recent. Perhaps this video can serve as a reminder for us to look out for each other and not turn a blind eye to statistics, however frightening they may be. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Feel free to write your thoughts on the case in the comments. Otherwise, there's not much else to say. I wish you a good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on when you watch the video, and hope to see you again in the next video. Until then, ciao everyone.